Hello. Today I want to talk about the draft 2020 draft, the one this year. Um. So yeah, I don't really know why I feel like talking about it, but probably just because it's the day before and my mind's kind of going off. So I feel like talking about it, getting my opinion out before the draft happens, which is tomorrow. So yeah, but I don't know what time it is. And also, it's kind of weird because it's like an online thing where the players they don't actually walk up to the podium. That's kind of weird, but I don't know. I'm also outside. It's nighttime. I don't know, man. Okay, let's get started. And maybe to fit the theme a little bit, let's put on a hat, a sports hat. It's not an NBA hat. It's a Ravens hat, but I think it gets the message across. Nevertheless, okay. So with the first pick, the Timberwolves have it. Well, first off, the draft, it's gonna be very unpredictable. It's one of the weakest drafts. It's probably the weakest draft since 2013. Actually, it definitely is. It's definitely the weakest draft since 2013, in my opinion, especially in terms of like top end talent. I doubt there's gonna be very many superstars. There might be no superstars in this draft. I doubt there'll be a lot of stars in this draft. There might be one, maybe two, kind of like the 2013 draft, and maybe like none of those players are in the top 5, top 10, like the 2013 draft. Where I think Giannis was drafted like 15, and then I'm pretty sure Jokic was in that draft. He was drafted in the second round. Who else was in that draft? I don't remember. Maybe Jokic was in the 2014. I don't remember. I think it's 2013. But the Timberwolves, they could trade it. But I don't know if they get equal value for it for a first round pick. Even though first pick, I mean, even though this draft isn't that good, it's still the first pick. But I would take, in terms of the fit, getting someone who can come in and you can plug in right away. And it'd probably be Anthony Edwards because he can play the three with D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and then Edwards. The thing with Edwards is I don't think he's like that good. Like he, in terms of like scoring the ball, I think he can be a guy who averages like 17, 18 a game. But I think what really intrigues me about Edwards is his defense. But I don't know if he's going to want to be this great defensive player. But if he wants to be, he definitely can. He's 6'5". It's very big. I don't know, 2 something. And he's very athletic, very explosive, very strong. I feel like he can be a guy who can guard like wings and guards easily. So I think LaMelo is the best player in this draft. So I guess if you're just going best player available, you take LaMelo because I think he's the only guy in this draft who can become a superstar. And even then, I don't think he will be, but he could. He's the only guy who I really think has that potential because if he's able to get a jump shot that's really consistent and improve his decision making a little bit, he could be a guy who averages 20 points and like 20 plus points and 10 plus assists, and he could be one of the 10 best players in the NBA in like 6 years. I don't think that will happen, but if you're just trying to get a knockout in this draft, Grand Slam, some baseball references. I don't know much about baseball, but why not throw one in there? So yeah, I'm not sure, but let's move on because we got a lot of teams to cover. I'm probably gonna cover the top 10. So, second pick goes to the Warriors, which I mean they could trade it, but I'm just gonna say they're not gonna trade it. Okay, let's just do that. It can make this video a lot simpler. If they don't trade it, I think you just take Edwards because I think he's the best available, or Denny. I think Denny could fit in with that kind of a versatile guy who's really good at passing, a willing passer. Where I think Edwards would be it could be kind of weird because he seems like a guy that wants the ball in his hand. Not a great decision maker right now. I think Denny's definitely more willing to shoot the ball, not that much, and grow under that Warriors nucleus. Now a lot of people are saying James Wiseman. I don't know, man. I don't think he's that good. I think it's kind of a waste of the second pick to draft Wiseman. So I don't know. Let's move on to the third pick because we can start talking about Wiseman there. The Hornets. Now I'm gonna talk about the Pistons right now as well because this kind of goes with it. With the Hornets, they really want a big guy. So I feel like they're gonna draft Wiseman with the third pick, which I don't know, man. It's like, why are you doing that, man? It's I feel like you're wasting the third pick. Wiseman. He's very athletic, and he's got a crazy body. Like he's big. He's like 7'1", 7'6" wingspan. But like he's not that good on defense right away. He definitely has potential, but he's not that good right now. At least he doesn't have a very good handle. His jump shot's fine. It's not great though, and I just feel like he might be like a little better version of Clint Capella maybe if he's able to show up his defense. And that just seems kind of like a waste of a second pick, third pick, I guess. Well, okay, this is an idea I have for the Pistons and the Hornets because I feel like the Pistons are one of the few teams that I think should trade up in this draft. Just I feel like they could really use a guy like LaMelo. So let's say the first pick they take Edwards, second pick is Wiseman, which a lot of people think they should take Wiseman. I disagree, but maybe they do. And the third pick, you trade up. You trade the Hornets trade the third pick for Christian Wood and the seventh pick. Now, I don't think the Pistons should give up Christian Wood just because I think he's really good. But, I mean, if the Pistons can trade up to, like, a top 3 pick without giving up Christian Wood, I think you do that meal immediately, basically. Maybe you throw in Sekou, maybe you throw in a bunch of seconds. You wouldn't want to throw in multiple future ones, but first-round picks. But with the Hornets, it could be interesting because you get a 7th pick still, and you get a center who's very dynamic offensively. And can dribble. He's a good shooter, good post-up player. It could be very interesting with him and Devontae Graham. And you get the 7th pick, and you can draft someone else there. And he's not a great defensive player, but I feel like he's so much better than Wiseman on the offensive stuff that I feel like I said, I don't think Wiseman's that good on defense right now. He definitely can be good, but yeah. With the number 4 pick, I think the Bulls should probably take Denny if we're going by who I think is drafted at this point. Now, I wouldn't take, like I said, I wouldn't take Denny. I mean, I wouldn't take Wiseman in the top 3, but I feel like he will be picked in the top 3. So I think Denny, just because he feels like that playmaking that they need. And he's also a wing. He's not a guard. So, you know, I just feel like if he drops down the 4, you kind of just take him. I mean, he's a good passer, which they need playmaking. Really good passer. He's 6'8". He's got 6'9". I don't know how tall he is. I think he's really solid. I feel like he has potential to be like a Nicholas Batum type player. And adding a wing to an already not bad young core, it could be solid. Denny's one of the few players in this draft I actually really like because of his playmaking at the small forward position. 5th pick is the Cavs. Now, this might take up the whole video because I'm going to talk about Obi Toppin, who I think is the most interesting player in this draft. To me, I think the Cavs are really the only team that makes sense for him to go to because, one, the Cavs don't need a guard because they have Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, which they could trade one of those guys, but even then, I feel like getting a front court guy or a wing would be the best value pick for you. Obi Toppin, it's weird because I think he's very talented offensively, but he's not a great shooter. He's a very bad defensive player right now. His lateral quickness is actually kind of bad, which is weird because he's very athletic in terms of jumping and is vertical. But offensively, he's got good handles and he can dribble the ball for sure. And in terms of finishing inside, he's very good. So I don't think he's gonna be a star or anything, but I feel like he's either gonna go 5 or he's gonna go 11. Because I feel like everyone in the top, maybe 10, everyone in the top everyone after 5 all the way to 9 or 10, it doesn't make sense for them to take it in terms of they need defense. He's not good at defense. They need shooting. He's not a good shooter. Or they already have someone at that position. Or both. In terms of the Hawks, they need defense. He's not good at defense. And they have John Collins. So, yeah, he's very interesting. I don't know if they should take Obi Toppin. I've never been high on him, but I have been higher on him recently just because I feel like his offensive potential is solid. I feel like he could be a guy who averages 19 points, 9 rebounds a game, and is really pretty efficient around the rim and can be a decent front court option for you. So 6 is the Hawks. I think Paul Okoro, just because you need defense around Trae Young. And Okoro could suck. Let's be fair. He could be really bad, but I feel like he could be like a Josh Jackson type of thing. But the difference between Josh Jackson and Okoro is that Okoro, I feel like, is more disciplined and a lot smarter on the floor when Josh Jackson is not that. I feel like he had a lot of potential coming in the draft as a playmaker, and he really didn't capitalize on that because he's not that good of a decision maker. He's not very smart in terms of basketball. Well, I think Okoro is better at that. And Okoro as a defender is probably the best perimeter defender in this entire draft. So, next, and you need that around Trae Young, obviously. Next is 7 at the Pistons. Pistons, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like they should try to trade up without giving up Christian Wood. But like they're one of those teams that I feel like they could really use a guy who's just like amazing right now. I feel like other teams like the Bulls, the Cavs, all those teams, like they could just take a guy in the draft right now who's just solid, and because they have some decent like young guys right now, so they don't really have to waste other assets to get someone who's maybe better than the guy you'd be drafting at your position, but it doesn't make much sense. With the Pistons, I think it does, but I don't know who they take. I feel like Patrick Williams is a person they really want to take. I don't know much about him, though, so I don't know. 8 is the Knicks. I think Tyrese Halliburton is probably the pick here. I really like Halliburton. He's 6'5", I think. He's a good defensive player. He's a solid shooter. He's like a really good passer, and he's a really all-around really good player. I feel like he could be like a guy who can guard 1 through 3s. He's if he get a combo guard, he can play point guard. Although I don't think he should be a starting point guard because even though he's a very good passer, not a great shot creator, not an amazing like scorer off the dribble. Not he's bad, but I don't think he's good enough to be like a franchise point guard. But getting him as a guy who can come off the bench, he can start, he can be like the hybrid guy, as the combo guard. He can also play small forward at times. It could be really valuable, and I really like him. He's versatile in a lot of ways, offensively and defensively. And that's kind of rare for a guard. So I feel like that's a good pick, and I feel like the Pistons could take him as well. So I like Halliburton. I think he's a top 8 guy in this draft. He kind of reminds me of Malcolm Brogdon a little bit. Although I think he's probably a better passer than Brogdon. He's worse at shooting. He's a worse scorer. He's worse at he's probably not going to be as good as Brogdon, but he's definitely different. I don't know why I compared those two, but I'm just saying he's a good all-around point guard, and Brogdon is as well. But he's taller, and he's a different player, I guess. Okay, number 9 is the Wizards. The Wizards, that's an interesting one because I feel like some people are saying Okoro because they need defense, but I feel like that's kind of weird because I think Thomas Bryant's solid. He's kind of solid at everything, and he can shoot threes. And I feel like getting someone a wing or a guard would be smarter just because you already have a decent center. Why use the 9th pick on another center? I don't know, but then again, like I don't know if Thomas Bryant's good enough defensively to really. Yeah, he's not bad. He's decent, but that team's really bad on defense. So maybe you take Okoro, but I wouldn't. So let's wrap this video up with 10. Who is the Suns? Honestly, I don't know, man. They got Chris Paul. They could take. I mean, like again, I could see Obi Toppin falling to the spot if the Cavs don't take him, and I want to do that because I like the thing they have going with Cameron Johnson, Malik Bridges, yeah, that's his name, right? Yeah. Mikal Bridges, my bad. Oh my gosh. And I really like that wing thing they got going on. So I don't think it makes much sense to kind of break that up by moving in Toppin, who's not a shooter or defensive player. So I'd probably just take a guy who can come off the bench, be a wing, or maybe like a point guard. I don't know who. Maybe Killian Hayes, maybe, because they got Chris Paul, but he's getting old, and he can develop under Chris Paul, and you can run 3-guard lineups with Booker, Chris Paul, and Killian Hayes, or a different point guard. They could take Naismith, amazing shooter, off the bench. I don't know. I don't know what the Suns can do, but I just think they can either trade the pick or they could just draft a guy who can help them off the bench, and they can develop him into a starter. I kind of like the idea of getting a point guard because he can be solid off the bench right now, and then later he's developing under Chris Paul, and then he can maybe become a starter. Maybe not. Maybe he's just like a okay backup player. But yeah, that's it.